Had a slight setback this week, not really with the railway, but with this Class 86, which I was using around the layout last week. And remember, I ended the video with it stopping abruptly, but it didn't stop abruptly because it caught the pantograph. It stopped abruptly because it doesn't have enough upwards pressure, and the slight undulation in the overhead wire, it can't maintain pressure on it. So it was coming to a halt, losing continuity, so no power. And then later, through much playing and charging around the layout, perhaps my own fault for driving too quickly really, it did catch on one of the wires, and the whole thing came to a very abrupt stop with the full weight of coaches behind it, and it caused some damage to the pantograph, well, quite a bit of damage to the pantograph. So that I've made is a replacement wire. I've had to make quite an adjustment to here. There seemed to be, sorry, I've just knocked the camera. See, I've got a bit of wire in there. If I show you this diagram, I'll show you why that's there. So firstly, I'll show you the bit that was broken. If we look in this polythene bag here, you can see that little piece of metal on the end of my finger there. That little tab was on the sort of the inner side of the pantograph, and the wire attached to that, and then to the base of the pantograph. Now that's the wire in there that came out, which broke when I was trying to undo it. And looking at it, it doesn't look to be much more than a paper clip, so I think that was a replacement to start with. If you have a look at this diagram here, it looks to be a fairly straight thing holding the pantograph at this specific angle. As I say, it didn't give much pressure on the wire. And I've made a number of different wires to try and replicate it. I've drilled a hole, 2 holes, to try and solve the problem, but I haven't quite managed it. So there's a couple of my attempts at wire. I've dropped one there. That wire's a little bit stiff, and I did find some softer wire which was easier to work with, of about the right gauge. But I think as part of the accident, this part of the pantograph here, if we have a look, I'll show you where that is. That's that part there. Had these 2 protrusions either side. Now, after the accident, it didn't have a protrusion on one of the sides anymore. I can't find the piece, it's vanished. So I drilled a hole right the way through to put a piece of wire and find something else other than wire, I was thinking. But so I can secure the pantograph back onto there, which is what we see here. So if I can do this without knocking the camera again. So there you go, I've just got a temporary piece of wire through there. I think we could find a fine bolt to go through there. And then, because that little tab of metal had broken off from the inner side, so it's right in there, you can see I've drilled a hole in the top. The little tab would have dropped down from that surface, but I can't get a length of wire right to hold the pantograph against the rail. It just needs to be just like that, and I've fiddled with it and fiddled with it. I've made several different attempts, tried putting a bend in it. So what I'm going to have to do, I think, is I'm going to have to order a replacement pantograph. Sadly, I think that might be the only way to go. I think with the tab on there that's broken off, maybe I'd have a better chance of getting it at the right angle. I might have a go at trying to solder it on, but I don't think it'd be strong enough. But the pantograph sadly doesn't look to be very easy to replace. Let's see if I can just remove this bogey here. I'll just take that clip out of there. I was having a look on the inside here. I don't know whether we can see. There isn't quite enough light in there to see how that's secured, but I'll put an insert picture in there so you can see exactly how that is secured to the pantograph. It's like a sprung clip onto the metal feet of this. If we have a look at the picture again, there are some like spring clips which go on the bottom there, which I can't really see how to release at the moment. So if anybody knows how to release those, it would be hugely appreciated. So I've got the old Bobo electric out there, which runs around the railway really nicely actually. It's lovely ribbed wheels on the steel track. So off we go again. So there is that point we had a quick look at last week with the 86 running forwards and backwards through it, and I indicated I probably wouldn't have time to develop the siding into anything else, but over the week I've been fiddling a number of long evenings, been really enjoying myself with it, and I've put in a curved point. That's the advantage of System 6. They developed curved points, although they don't always run as smoothly as you might think, but I've strung some catenary over it, which I was quite pleased with. Seems to work quite nicely. I've had to use the old catenary mass. I don't have enough of the 80s ones or early 90s ones to use. So I ran it down here and all the way along, and I've introduced a crossover there, and I've used one of those crossover pieces I demonstrated or showed when I was dismantling the railway. I don't think with the newer system of catenary that came along in the late 80s, early 90s, this item was ever reintroduced, but I thought it worked quite nicely. And then while I was at it, the other branch off the curved point, I've taken the time to put in some of this pressed steel catenary, which I think I mentioned we'd have a quick look at, but I am intending to get that down with some Series 3 track, but the Series 3 track needs some attention before I can use it, so just for ease I've put it down with some Super 4 here, and we've just got a converter track, the number of it, which escapes me at the moment, so it converts from System 6 through to Super 4. And I think originally it would have gone to a Hornby 00 track, from Super 4 to Hornby 00 track perhaps. They were made for a number of years. I think there are a couple of variations on them. You see they've got that half sleeper end. I imagine the early ones might have had a half sleeper end for the original System 6. Let me see if there is a catalogue number that we can read on the back of there. Although at present, looking through the back of the camera here, I can't quite read what's on the back of there. I know it's got Hornby on it. I'll put that on the top of the screen and insert. There we go. Looking through cameras and trying to read text printed on things is quite difficult. So this pressed steel catenary came along as part of the first range of catenary in 59, I think. And if we have a look at the catalogue here, that's the 59 catalogue. Fairly impressive. It shows it in orange. I don't think it was ever produced in orange. Would have been quite nice in orange, very colourful. And then the different lengths of catenary wires or sections which were available. We've got these great big mass bases to accommodate the standard track as well. I think they would have been quite smart in orange, those, wouldn't they? But great looking stuff. Anyway, so when this range of catenary expired, as it were, I don't think it was very flexible. Well, it's not very flexible. You definitely can't deal with a diamond crossing with it. A little adapter was made. You can see if I go in really close here, let's have a look. You can see there's a little adapter clip. I don't know how much focus we're going to get on there, which enables you to hang the new style wire which came along in 61, 62-ish on the edge of one of these pressed steel pieces here. So I think it works quite neatly. If you look at that, and we'll have a look at that running in a few moments. I've got another couple here. They're the tiniest things, and I don't know whether we can get focus through the bag there. Tiny little bent piece of steel, I suppose, and they enable you to join the two systems together. If we have a look at the catalogue page here, I think this is the 61 page. Just a photocopy of it. Let me see if I pick that up. We'll get that a bit closer. There we go. So that little adapter there is our 392. A set of 6. I'm not sure quite how many you would need, although I did have 2 on a previous layout with the pressed steel catenary where I had a crossover, and I used it to jump between the wire type that's indicated here and the pressed steel type. So I could just use the crossover with some Series 3, but very old video, if you'd like to have a look at it. And there's those diamond crossing pieces there, look, sets of 3, R393. So we'll just pop that down. I think that's the 61 page where the phase 2 catenary was introduced with the wires, much more flexible, so you can bend the wires. So I think I showed a piece of this pressed steel type stuff as I was dismantling the old railway, but they come in these lovely little packets. There we go. So 12 catenary, length 7 1/4 inches, R308. There's that, perhaps a price there. So again, you can hear them shaking around inside. Let's just encourage a feel out there. So I think they're easy to bend to accommodate the curves, and they're quite nice around the point work. And I believe they may well be just steel and tin plated. So I imagine the rust getting hold of those could be quite terrific. But it's all been great fun. So I thought I'd just take the opportunity to show a few of these parts in action, how it's all a mishmash of ages. So I don't know whether you noticed, but in the background when we were looking around before, you could see I've introduced some of these double gantries. Now these are the ones that came along with the reintroduced range of catenary. It didn't come along till 91. The reintroduced range started in 88, and the whole range sort of expired by 98. So about 10 years overall, but not too bad. So there they are, R489 double track catenaries. Double track catenary gantries, set of 6. Sort of a later style box there. So I do have the 6 boxed ones, and I have a couple of extras which I need to dig out, and perhaps we can get those down. I didn't intend to get this carried away with this, but the advantage of these later ones over the early ones is you can get them around the curve. I did set up the curve behind the engine shed on the previous layout with double track catenary masts, but the first time I ran some Mark 1s around it, they just came to a halt as they collided with the edges of the mast. The advantage of these later ones over the earlier ones is this little extra bit in the moulding here, so it just gives that extra clearance to enable you to run the coaching stock and some of the larger locomotives around curves under the catenary. So to all intents and purposes, I think apart from that, the mast is the same thing, although the feet don't run into the track. You just have to pin or screw them down, as I've done here. I've just got them pinned, and I quite like those. So if I can dig out the rest, maybe we'll get a couple more of those in there. As I say, I hadn't intended to get bogged down with the System 6, but it just sort of one thing led to another, and I'm enjoying myself, and that's what it's all about. And I think I may have got the dating wrong on this. This pressed steel stuff came along the catenary range originally in 59, and I think they started introducing the wire stuff in 61, so 59 through to 60, 61, this stuff was in production and available. I think it's quite pretty. So as I said, the Super 4 is just a temporary measure for this. I'll get the Series 3 prepared, and we'll have some fun with that. There's a nice piece of paperwork came along with these gantries. And just have a swift look at that. Always nice to have a little bit of paperwork. I see it's been fairly damp, hasn't it? But it's all sort of been great fun. But a bit of a shame about the pantograph on that 86, but I'll have to bite the bullet, I think, and order another one and see if we can work out a way of extracting or removing the old one. I think putting the new one in will be fine. It's just removing the old one. If you have a look at that insert picture there, just getting those little spring clips off, I think, is going to be the issue. So we've got the Bobo Electric sitting under the pressed steel catenary with those same Mark II coaches and buffer car and sleeping car as we had last week. So I'm just going to back those out onto the running line. So we'll go for a bit of power, excuse all of the mess in the background. Lovely racket those ribbed wheels make. Very, very noisy. So we'll switch those to straight and we'll just have one run around. But just before we go, let me push this through this, under this clip here, and you see how nicely that pantograph just deals with that clip where the wires go together, whereas it's that sort of thing which really trips up the later pantograph on the later models. We'll stop her further around the rails and we'll have a look at the two together perhaps. There's a wobbly change of camera hand there, so we'll have a bit of high speed running down this long straight, I think. So definitely capable of a bit of forward motion, isn't she? You can see how that's going to damage the pantograph. But I'll be a bit calmer with it this time and we'll bring her to a stop. There we go, we've got that 86 we had running last week. Let's just have a look at those two styles of pantograph. So I think they've done a really nice job in perhaps trying to make them look more realistic here, but I think the sharp edging involved on this late escape is just too optimistic. I think it's why I've never ran this before. I got it, it was the right price, and it always caught on the catenary clips, so it just got boxed away. But the lovely curvature on the top of there really is built for the job. It's a toy. And we've got this really crude method of joining the catenary wires together, and it deals with it really nicely, as does the one on the Electra, the other style of pantograph that Trang had. But still, it's all good fun. We'll see if we can get another one of those and work out a way of removing this without damaging the model. But I think that's probably it for this week. Thanks again for watching. It's hugely appreciated. Goodbye now.